I remember a crisp morning just after my 77th birthday when my daughter Alice stopped by unannounced. I was still in my robe, sipping coffee at my kitchen table, feeling content and perfectly happy with my slow-paced start to the day. Alice strolled in and began tidying up my counters without asking. She said she was just helping, but I felt something catch in my chest. It was that familiar pang of being treated like a child in my own home. Later, I realized what bothered me so much. I hadn't clearly communicated my boundaries, where my personal space ends and her well-intentioned help begins. In that moment, it dawned on me how many of us who've passed 75 never explicitly draw these lines, often out of fear of losing our children's affection or being seen as difficult. Yet each time a boundary is crossed, a piece of our dignity is quietly chipped away. Thinking back, I recognized that my failure to speak up had become a pattern, one that could lead to far more serious problems than a simple morning annoyance. Many older adults I know share similar stories of adult children stepping in, sometimes with good intentions, sometimes not, making decisions about finances, living arrangements, or social engagements without truly hearing what their parent wants. Some of us hold back from protesting because we don't want to cause conflict, while others fear being labeled stubborn or ungrateful. But when we don't firmly but lovingly establish limits, we risk losing autonomy and the respect we've spent a lifetime building. The stakes are high. If we never learn how to hold our ground, we might find ourselves living in ways that feel uncomfortable or even humiliating. We risk losing that inner pride that comes from directing our own lives, no matter our age. That's why it's so important to talk about establishing clear boundaries with your adult children after 75. By the end of this conversation, you'll understand exactly why boundaries aren't only helpful, but also essential for preserving your peace of mind and sense of self. I'll share 5 surprisingly effective ways to do this. Strategies that have helped people just like you maintain independence, foster mutual respect, and safeguard the dignity that can slip away if we remain silent. You'll discover simple, practical steps that honor your years of wisdom and life experience, instead of making you feel as though you're fighting for a seat at your own table. Each point offers a fresh perspective that might challenge the usual advice you've heard about parent-child relationships in later life. One of these tips in particular has saved more than a few seniors from needless heartache. You'll want to watch until the end because it's something few people talk about, yet it can transform how your adult children perceive you, from someone who's fragile and in need of guidance to someone who's strong, capable, and worthy of genuine respect. What I'm about to share is backed by decades of observing seniors who've thrived well into their 80s and 90s, retaining control over their personal lives in ways that are both firm and loving. This isn't merely my opinion. It's a collection of insights gleaned from countless conversations with older adults who refuse to compromise on dignity. And if you're finding this topic relevant, you may want to subscribe to this channel or follow along, because these discussions build upon each other. Leave a simple 1 in the comments if you think establishing clear boundaries is important. If you disagree, leave a 0 to let me know. Your feedback helps me create better content geared toward your needs. On that note, let's dive into these 5 transformative ways to set boundaries that uphold your pride and dignity. Each approach may challenge some assumptions you've held about what your role should be as you age. But trust me, embracing them can be life-changing. First, consider a powerful reframe. Just because you're over 75 doesn't mean you must automatically relinquish decision-making to your adult children. In fact, you might find that the more you assert your preferences, the stronger your relationships become. Let's explore exactly how to do that in a step-by-step way that fosters respect from your kids, while allowing you to feel proud of the life you continue to shape. You do not owe your adult children constant access to your time, mind, or home. It might sound bold, but it's true. Being a parent for decades doesn't mean your boundaries should be invisible. One common misconception is that once your children reach adulthood, they somehow become the new managers of your life. Many older adults silently believe they're supposed to let their kids step in and rearrange everything: finances, schedules, even living spaces. The reality is quite the opposite. Giving your children unconditional love is different from letting them dictate the terms of your day-to-day existence. Consider the experience of Eleanor, age 78, who used to believe that saying no to her son's demands would fracture their relationship beyond repair. He insisted on controlling her grocery shopping, certain that his choices were more nutritious. Eleanor initially allowed it out of guilt. After all, he was just trying to help, right? But the truth was, she felt patronized and ashamed, as though she couldn't be trusted to feed herself. One afternoon, she mustered the courage to tell him she'd prefer to pick her own groceries and would appreciate his help only when asked. The surprising insight she gained was that her son respected her more after that conversation. By articulating what she wanted, she showed she wasn't relinquishing her freedom. It was a turning point for Eleanor, as well as for her son, who realized his mother was more independent than he gave her credit for. The practical step here is to practice polite refusal, the gentle, clear no. For example, if your child calls and asks to accompany you to every medical appointment, thank them for their offer, but calmly explain that you'd like to go alone unless you explicitly request their company. This action reasserts your autonomy. The emotional benefit? You'll regain a sense of pride, knowing you're the primary architect of your own day-to-day life. It's empowering to feel your preferences matter and are heard, rather than second-guessed or overruled. Think of it like maintaining a well-kept garden. Boundaries are the fence that protects your space. If you leave the gate open all the time, deer might eat your flowers, even if they don't mean to do harm. That fence is essential, and building it doesn't mean you dislike the deer. It simply means you love your garden and want to keep it flourishing. Now you might wonder, what if my child reacts poorly? While everyone's situation is unique, many adult children actually respond with more respect and care when they see their parent is unwavering yet loving. A softly spoken but firm, "I value my independence and I appreciate your concern," tends to bring clarity to the relationship. Boundaries aren't about confrontation, they're about mutual respect. The beautiful outcome is that once those lines are drawn, each interaction becomes more intentional. Instead of stepping over your limits, your kids may start asking, "Mom, is it okay if I do this for you?" That question alone is a sign you've reclaimed your standing in the family dynamic. Let's move on to another crucial insight that many seniors overlook. You have the right to be consulted, if not actively lead, major decisions involving your life. The common myth is that your kids know best simply because they're younger or more in tune with modern ways. In truth, your perspective, grounded in years of living and learning, holds immeasurable value. A typical misconception is that once you've reached a certain age, your adult children automatically become more informed about your needs than you are. It's often assumed that advanced technology or new ways of doing things mean younger people have the upper hand in decision-making. But consider the story of Roger, age 80. When his son tried to persuade him to sell his house and move into a retirement community, Roger felt a knot in his stomach. He wasn't ready to leave the home he and his late wife had lovingly built over 50 years. More importantly, he knew he was still capable of maintaining his house, especially if he hired a little help for the bigger tasks. The surprising truth was that Roger's detailed knowledge of his home's maintenance schedule and his own health status outweighed his son's assumption that Dad can't handle it anymore. To put this into practice, ask for a conversation before any major decisions are made about your living situation, finances, or even social engagements. Don't wait for your children to invite you into the discussion. Initiate it yourself. For example, if your daughter is planning a big family trip and automatically expects you'll stay at home, don't let that assumption go unchallenged. Voice your interest in traveling too. You might say, "I'd like to join the conversation on how we can make it comfortable for me. Let's figure out what arrangements would work best." The emotional payoff is tremendous. By actively participating, you affirm your place as a vital member of the family whose preferences and wisdom matter. You stand taller, speak more confidently, and remind yourself and those around you that your age doesn't diminish your intelligence or agency. You may wonder if speaking up could create more tension, especially if your children believe they're protecting you from an unnecessary risk. That's where clarity and compromise come in. Sometimes you'll meet in the middle. Maybe you agree to a shorter trip or plan for extra breaks if mobility is a concern. The key is ensuring your voice is a guiding force rather than an afterthought. Nothing maintains dignity like being heard and taken seriously. When you present thoughtful, practical ideas, you're more likely to persuade your children that you're still fully capable of contributing to major decisions. And as a neat bonus, you show them that aging doesn't mean fading away. It means shifting perspectives, yes, but continuing to lead where it counts. If you're still with me and find these ideas helpful, please leave a comment with the number 2 below, so I know you're actively considering new ways to claim your rightful place in decision-making. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that now to stay updated on empowering content that respects your independence and your lifetime of hard-earned knowledge. Let's look at another surprising but crucial tactic: practicing purposeful privacy. The idea that you should share every detail of your life with your adult children is more harmful than helpful. Many older adults assume their children have a right to know everything: bank balances, medication schedules, personal struggles, and end up feeling overexposed or micromanaged. While transparency can be good in certain cases, for instance, designating a power of attorney you truly trust, there's no rule that says you must open every door to your personal business. Think of Marie, who is 79. Her daughter, Jessica, used to call several times a day, prying into every aspect of Marie's day. Did you sleep well? What medications are you taking? Are you eating properly? Have you checked your bank statements? On the surface, it looked like care, but it left Marie feeling suffocated. The surprising insight came when Marie realized she had the right to keep some of her routines and finances private. She explained to Jessica that while she appreciated the concern, she would like to handle certain things on her own. In doing so, Marie felt immediate relief, as though she'd reclaimed a sense of self that had been blurred by constant oversight. To put purposeful privacy into action, decide which areas of your life you want to handle independently. This might be managing your checkbook, scheduling your social events, or taking care of certain household chores. If your children ask for details you're not comfortable sharing, politely say, "I have it under control, but thank you for asking." When pressed, a calm reaffirmation can work wonders. I value our relationship more when we respect each other's personal boundaries. By maintaining these private spaces, you protect your self-esteem. You remain an adult with the right to confidentiality, a fact often overlooked once we cross a certain age threshold. The emotional payoff is that you'll feel more like a capable individual rather than a perpetual dependent. Also, it sets a precedent. If you show you can manage your affairs effectively, your children might scale back intrusive behaviors. This approach encourages them to see you as you see yourself, a person who has navigated life's complexities for decades, still perfectly able to decide what to share and what to hold close. Some worry that privacy can breed isolation, but the reverse is often true. When your child no longer feels obligated to monitor your every move, your interactions can become more meaningful. You'll likely talk about shared interests, favorite memories, or future plans instead of turning every conversation into a mini interrogation. Retaining that bit of mystery also reminds everyone that you're a fully formed person with your own thoughts, preferences, and private matters. It keeps your relationships balanced and healthy rather than hierarchical or dependent. On we go to a perspective that might feel uncomfortable, but is absolutely game-changing. Sometimes you must say no to financial demands or expectations of support, even if it's your own child asking. This is a delicate subject because we all want to help our children succeed. But there's a big difference between occasional assistance or gifts and feeling pressured to sustain a grown child's lifestyle at the expense of your own well-being. A damaging misconception is that it's your responsibility at any age to serve as your child's financial safety net indefinitely. Sylvia, 82, found herself dipping into her retirement savings to help her son launch one business venture after another, ventures that never seemed to pan out. Over time, she realized she was risking her own financial stability for someone who was making risky decisions without consulting her. The breakthrough occurred when Sylvia clearly stated she could no longer provide funds for every new project. She'd simply say, "My money is planned out to take care of me in my later years." The surprising truth is that many adult children, when faced with that boundary, become more resourceful. They learn how to manage their finances or seek other funding sources. In Sylvia's case, her son eventually got serious about budgeting and found a practical job to sustain his family. The best way to handle these requests is to outline your priorities before the ask even comes up. Think about what you need for your own health care, day-to-day expenses, and emergency funds. Then decide how much, if anything, you're comfortable sharing with your children. By having this figure or principle in mind, you won't be caught off guard by please or guilt trips. The emotional reward is feeling a sense of security. No matter how much you adore your children, you also need to protect your quality of life. Sometimes simply telling them, "I love you and wish I could solve all your troubles, but I must ensure my own stability," is enough. It may spark initial disappointment, but the respect gained later is worth it. After all, your children benefit more from having a parent who is financially secure and emotionally at peace than from having one who's financially drained and resentful. Some might fear that withholding money could threaten the relationship, but more often it protects it. A dynamic built on repeated obligatory financial rescues can breed resentment on both sides. Instead, showing your adult child that you trust them to figure things out fosters their independence. It's a way to show them they're capable rather than reliant. And once they understand your boundary, you can interact without the looming worry of yet another desperate request. You'll feel proud that your resources are used wisely, and your child in time may gain the pride of standing on their own 2 feet. At this stage, I'd love to check in again. If you find this third and fourth strategy valuable about asserting privacy and financial boundaries, please leave a comment with the number 4. Your feedback helps shape future content, so don't hesitate to share your thoughts. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is a great moment to do so because more empowering discussions are on the way. Finally, let's explore an often overlooked but deeply important element: openly communicating the emotional boundaries you need in order to feel respected. Many seniors believe that talking about their feelings is indulgent or unnecessary. Yet emotional well-being is a cornerstone of dignity. If your adult child speaks to you harshly or dismisses your concerns, it's crucial to address that behavior, kindly but directly. There's a common misconception that all negative behaviors from adult children must be tolerated because that's just how kids are. But consider David, who is 76. His daughter Angela frequently made sarcastic remarks about his forgetfulness and aging body. Each barb cut deeply. At first, David kept silent, believing he had no right to be upset and not wanting to cause drama. One day, after a particularly hurtful comment, he calmly said, "I'm not okay with jokes about my memory or my physical condition. It hurts me, and I need you to respect that." Angela was taken aback. She had thought she was being playful. Hearing that her words caused real pain changed her perspective, and she apologized. From that moment on, she made a conscious effort to avoid mockery and instead speak more kindly. The surprising insight is that your children aren't always aware of how deeply their words or tone can affect you. By voicing your feelings, you're giving them a chance to step up and treat you with dignity. Practically, you can rehearse a simple statement. "When you talk about my age like that, I feel diminished. I need us to speak to each other with mutual respect." If the disrespect continues, repeat your boundary just as calmly. If your child continues to disregard your feelings, consider creating some distance or scheduling interactions on your own terms. While it's painful to limit contact, preserving your emotional health is paramount. The emotional benefit is regaining the sense of worth you may have lost by quietly enduring rude comments or put-downs. The real value of a good relationship is in how you both uplift each other, not in how much you can tolerate disrespect. Setting emotional boundaries also means recognizing and communicating your limits. If you feel drained after too many family gatherings or phone calls, it's perfectly valid to ask for some breathing room. "I love you, but I need some quiet time for myself. Let's reconnect later in the week." This sort of statement acknowledges your love for them while underscoring that you have needs too. A vibrant life after 75 includes self-care, and emotional well-being is at the top of that list. When all 5 of these strategies come together, polite refusal, active participation in major decisions, purposeful privacy, financial discernment, and emotional clarity, you create a solid framework of boundaries that keeps your dignity intact. You'll likely notice shifts in how your children speak to you, how they consult you, and how they support you in ways that truly honor your independence. As you reflect on everything we've covered, imagine yourself a year from now, comfortably asserting your needs while still maintaining a loving connection with your children. Picture the serenity of your daily life, where visits and phone calls feel respectful rather than intrusive, and where you feel genuinely proud of the balanced family dynamics you've helped shape. The beautiful truth is that it's entirely possible. You have every right to set these boundaries, and by doing so, you're not pushing your children away. You're inviting them into a healthier, more respectful relationship. Speaking up for yourself can feel risky, especially if you're not used to it. But the real risk lies in never learning to say, "This is who I am and how I wish to live." Think about the kind of example you're setting for future generations. Would you want your grandchildren to see a grandparent who passively accepts decisions made by others? Or would you prefer they see someone who stands up graciously for their own dignity and well-being? You're offering them a powerful lesson in self-respect that goes far beyond any inheritance or family tradition. You're showing them how to grow older with grace, purpose, and a firm grip on one's sense of self. If you've gotten this far, take a moment to imagine how your life changes once these boundaries are in place. Perhaps you'll feel lighter, relieved of the weight of unspoken resentments or silent frustrations. Maybe you'll notice your kids treating you more like a consultant or partner in family matters, rather than someone to be managed. If just reading this is giving you a sense of possibility, then it's time to act. Don't let another day slip by without at least starting a conversation about what you need. In many cases, your child will likely be more receptive than you anticipate, and if not, you still gain the satisfaction of knowing you stood up for your rights, preserving the esteem you worked so hard to build throughout your lifetime. Now, as you move forward, ask yourself, which of these 5 boundary-setting approaches do you need the most right now? Is it politely refusing excessive help, actively participating in decisions, keeping some aspects of your life private, defining financial limits, or clearly stating your emotional needs? Whichever resonates with you, take a small, immediate step in that direction. Perhaps it's writing down your feelings in a journal or rehearsing a calm, assertive statement you plan to share with your children. By making even one small move, you're showing yourself and them that your dignity matters. I would love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below sharing which boundary you feel most ready to put into practice, or which one you've already started. Your experiences might just inspire another viewer who's struggling to find their voice. And if you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss future discussions on living a full, empowered life well into your 70s and beyond. Sharing this video with friends who might benefit from it is another way to spread these important ideas. It's never too late to protect your autonomy. You've taken a significant step today by learning how to safeguard your pride and dignity through clear boundaries. Remember, it's not about shutting your children out or rejecting their care. It's about creating a healthier, more balanced relationship that honors the independence you've earned. Trust yourself to know what's best for you. While aging comes with its own set of challenges, it also offers the freedom to live life on your own terms, especially when you let those around you know exactly where you stand. By doing so, you become an inspiring example of resilience and self-respect. And that, at the end of the day, is a legacy worth leaving for the generations who look up to you.